Paul, a point in the end. How do you reflect on that?
Point away from home is never kind of the worst thing in the world, but if I'm being truthful in terms of my assessment of the game, at least I didn't think we'd done enough to win the game really. I think I would have been a little bit harsh on Maidenhead, albeit don't think they caused us too many problems. Second half didn't really feel like we were in too much danger, and when we get the goal, obviously 1-0 up, you're hoping that you see the game out. Disappointed with the goal. I have to look back at it overall, but just generally I thought we looked a little bit lacking in energy. That's something we'll have to assess again and look at ourselves, because we did change the week. Just had a chat with the players there. Don't always get the truthful opinion straight away, so maybe look at that again afterwards. But ultimately we keep an unbeaten run going to the start of the season. I think this is not a wake-up call, but it's maybe just a slight reality check that it's not always going to go as well as you would like. But we're talking about a draw, not a defeat, and the expectation of, again, with all due respect, to have come into Maidenhead from lots of people is that we turn up and win the game. And being in this league long enough, at various times, to know that that's not always the case, and certainly Alan's team before has put ours to the sword, and it was a lot worse day than what we're talking about today. So yeah, I would have liked to have won the game, as I would every game, but at least we got something from it that I think we deserved. But as I said, I think the win would have been our Sean Maiden.
It seemed to take a bit of time for you started to get going. You talked about the physical kind of aspect that you were expecting from Maidenhead,
Yeah.
But did it perhaps take you by surprise how they approached it and that?
No, not at all. I thought we started well for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I thought we took until probably 40 minutes and played the last 5-6 minutes of the first half, whatever that was, which was kind of the message at half time in terms of look what you can do when you actually pass the ball. We didn't pass it well enough. Didn't feel there was enough desire to get on the ball as much. At times it is difficult, you have to fight for second balls and things like that, which in general I thought we stood up to most of it. They had a couple of opportunities, as we did ourselves, but not, there wasn't much free sort of flowing football that I think we've played quite a lot in the games previously. So it was, second half we talked about upping the tempo. Again, we had little spells, but not for long enough, and still not at the sort of desired level that I would like.
You did eventually kind of get going, and you carried that on into the second half as well, eventually getting that goal as well. Did you feel like you were on your way then?
No, I didn't really feel under threat, but again, I've stood on the touchline long enough to know that at 1-0, clearly it only takes one opportunity for them, which they took. It was a good ball in, good header from their point of view. I wasn't happy, like I said, I have to look back at it to give comment, but he was certainly allowed too much freedom in the box. And with our goal, felt it was a time when we showed a little bit of energy and a good finish from Rico. But you never, like I said, 1-0, you're never comfortable. But I always felt we would score today, and that took longer than I would have liked it to happen. But we have to try, and it's an obvious thing to say, but if you're not playing at your best, to keep the back door shut, which we did for large parts. But the goals, I guess, cost us 2 points from being in a winning position at least.
You went to 3 at the back when you brought Sean Pearson on.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had to do that just to kind of see the game out, maybe?
Not particularly. I know a lot can be made. You put an extra defender on, but Rico scored. I'll give him that. Didn't feel that he gave us as much going forward as I would have liked. So we changed the way that we played a little bit. We'd kind of done that at various points in midweek and other games, and still, had attacking players on the pitch. But ultimately, would we have conceded if we'd have stayed the same system? Who knows? I'd like to think it wasn't simply down to that.
So, looking at the situation, leading up to the goal. Did go to 3 at the back, but did it feel a bit like the players just kind of thought, oh, we're shutting up shop now?
Possibly. Like I said, I thought it kind of was, I guess, a performance overall where it looked like maybe we just done enough to win. Like I said, for me, I think that would have been a little bit harsh on Maidenhead. Different ways to win games. You're not always going to, blow teams away or dominate possession. But I just, overall, I think it was just a sort of what looked like a lack of real enthusiasm to get on the ball, and just the energy levels seemed to be lower than I anticipated and wanted. And like I said, that's why we have to look at ourselves as well, and whether or not anything we've done has had an impact on that.
But as you say, the unbeaten run continues. Was it just important to make sure you held on to that?
Yeah, look, we still wanted to win the game. That's why I put Lenny on and kept McAtee on as well. We could have quite easily took sort of John off and just gone the 3 midfield players. And we had a couple of little got into a couple of areas where, a better ball might have just given us that last opportunity, but wasn't to be. As I said, there's worse things to do than take a point on the road. And then don't buy into this in terms of who it's against, what the name is. They're not the easiest team to play against, that's for sure. And Alan's had a difficult time. You were speaking to him before with injuries and things. But one thing he does is he gets his team working and giving everything for his team, and he's a very experienced manager. Like I said, they might not have been on the best run overall, but I'm pretty sure they'll take points off of people, and especially here.
You've got a quick turnaround now with Bromley away on Tuesday. You went with the team that served you well against Torquay and Wrexham, but do you have to kind of think about making changes now?
I think you after every game you do, irrespective of result. Like I say, I'm not one that thinks if we'd have won today 1-0 and played really well, yes, of course, makes that maybe a decision a little easier, less thinking time. But overall, you should always look at each performance, look at energy levels, like I said, and just quality of performance. We've got a squad. Training this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, was excellent. I think I said that to you when I spoke Wednesday afternoon. So that was the disappointment, and it does matter what happens in training. Of course it does, but the most important bit is the Saturday afternoon, and in comparison, the performance wasn't there. So yeah, I'll look at it. I think we've got a couple of lads that are perhaps knocking at the door. Tuesday is a different challenge in terms of a different surface straight away. Not my sort of favourite thing, I've said that many times before, but ultimately it's in the league, and we've got to go there and see if we can get a result against a team that did extremely well last season. And I haven't seen results today, but in general have made a decent enough start, and I think a lot of people I've spoke to in the league think that they'll be up there again.